Hello and welcome back. Yeah, there's been a lot of articles out recently about the VIX and how we've made a big move down, and maybe it doesn't make much sense to be short right here. As long-term viewers of this channel know, staying short VIX products like UVXY or VXX is different than being short the VIX because these products tend to stay in contango and thus have, and also some of them are leveraged more than others. Of course, UVXY 1.5 times leveraged. There should be a new leveraged product coming on the market soon, and due to these factors, these products decay more than, whereas the VIX just kind of goes up and down, but these products continue to decay lower, and thus it can make sense to always be short these if you're in a long-term type trade situation. Not like a stellar week for me personally with the trading. I seem to be kind of out of sync with things, so my answer to that is to get smaller. But another kind of typical morning this morning, we have a rally going on in the futures. As you look behind me, we can see E-minis up 25 right now. Let's see if I can reset my screen. Take these studies off of it. So I'm thinking maybe on Sunday doing a sort of Ask Me Anything thing where you can, if you're watching, you could we could talk about your individual positions if you want to share with me or with other people on the stream what your positions are. We can talk about, we can kind of talk through different trades and positions and ideas you might have if you're interested in checking that out. I think that's probably going to happen this Sunday, right around the time the futures reopen, which is around 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time this Sunday. So currently, E-minis up 25. We did have a it was a day or two of a little bit of a kind of back up, a little pop in the VIX. If you look, if I move out of the way here for a second, you can see the action. Let's go to a 5-day, and you can see kind of a little bit of a upward move in the VIX as of late, sort of coming off of that big down move. We've had a couple sessions that kind of start to trend a little bit up. We'll see if that continues. Just remembering once again where we came from. We came from a VIX of 40 right before the election, and then all this stuff happened. Was compressed into a very short period of time. The Pfizer vaccine announcement, President-elect Biden, and now we're kind of in earnings, but we've seen the financial stocks really explode. People have been rotating into the financial stocks lately, and also these. I talked about this a little bit before, but the Chinese electric car companies really just taking off as well. We looked at before at NIO. Just exploding to the upside. Candy. Also. But the stocks really been getting hurt lately, or just have been underperforming, have been the so-called FANG stocks, monsters of tech stocks, that just haven't performed as well. Amazon has gotten a little hammered on, and this is kind of like the idea that, well, if this coronavirus is kind of solved, it hurts some of these companies that were kind of benefiting from people being stuck at home. Here's Zoom getting a little hammered. Zoom is just really a company that's just kind of come out of this whole pandemic thing. Nobody sort of knew about Zoom before that, but since then it's really been just it's really been a big deal just in my own personal life. I know my mom's asking me, well, how do I put these, how do I fix my Zoom account? How do I add to my background, etc.? It's like in every household now. It's Pretty amazing. So let's take a look at VVIX. There's some discussion about VVIX. VVIX is a measure of the implied volatility of options on the VIX. These would be the options that people seem to hedge with futures. It used to be when things were a little calmer, maybe in like 2017, 2018, it was people sort of thought, well, anytime VVIX is below 100, everything's fine. Every time it gets a little above 100, that's the danger zone. And, we've been consistently above 100 now for like 6 months. And I always like to look at the trends. 100 shouldn't be, it's very easy to think, oh, you just use that rounded number of 100. But really, to me, this is more of like, what is the trend doing in it? And we can see where we are now. If we kind of back it out, we're kind of, compared with where we've been recently, we're kind of in a middle zone here. And I always like to dig into the numbers because, implied volatility is just that. It tells a level of option prices. It doesn't necessarily indicate the VIX spiking, right? If the VVIX goes up because people are buying 30% out of the money calls and VIX, that's much more an indicator of maybe danger ahead than the VVIX going up because people are buying puts to the downside, which happens very often these days. A lot of big VIX trades in VIX options are these spreads, ratio spreads, risk reversals, this sort of thing. And risk reversals and these ratio spreads don't translate very well into VVIX. So VVIX can be deceptive, and a lot of people don't like to use it as an indicator. Many would call it almost meaningless. So of course, if it's rocketing higher, you can see certain examples here where it's rocketing higher. You want to keep that in your mind, but I wouldn't put too much of my decision making on VVIX because first of all, options on the VIX are kind of a strange thing anyway. I don't trade them. I limit myself to UVXY and VXX options. But secondly, in the paper, there's these size trades in there, and a lot of them are these spreads, and thus you really need to see what is going on in there more specifically than just taking a look at the VVIX to make any sort of assessment, in my opinion, on VVIX moves. So the question is, is the VIX going to pop from here? Have we reached some sort of level here in the VIX where, we've gotten our down move, so to speak, and we're going to stay in this little range here right now for a while? Well, it's unclear. I mean, for the time being, the trend in my mind is down, right? If we look at the VIX over, here's a 10-day of the VIX. The trend seems to be down, right? Here is a 20-day. And hold on. There's a 20-day. So this is right before the election, and then boom, down. And when you look at charts in different timelines, it tells a different story. That's why it can be useful to look at a few different charts to try to get a perspective. This is probably a more favorite one of mine because you see just that we're still digesting this COVID spike to some extent when you look at it from this level here. And, we did have that nice down move there, but we're pretty close to the recent lows here, right? It got down to 20, a little over 20 here back in August. Then we had this big run up into the election, and now we're back mid-20s. But I don't see any reason why we couldn't move lower from here. It's kind of an open, as is with trading a lot, it's kind of ambiguous as to what's going to happen here. I think that we will continue to line up in a contango situation, and that our UVXY and VXX will continue to decay. The last day or two with the up moves, it kind of took the contango away. But let's take a brief look at VIX Central and check out our chart here. There's a lot going on in the market outside of VIX stuff, but I've been sticking to just the VIX products as far as trading, trying to stay disciplined and just stick to what I know about, because I got into some trouble this year trying to mess around with individual issues that I didn't really know that much about. So I'm trying to stick with this right now. But we can see here 3.8% contango. With the up move yesterday, this curve is relatively flat compared with what it's been recently. I would think that as time goes by here, contango will steepen. 3.8% is not a huge amount, but it is going to cause these products to decay over time. If we go to our historical contango chart here, and I'm going to unclick the F4 to F7, so we just have the 2 months that matter as far as our UVXY and our other ETPs. And you can see, yes, we dipped into backwardation briefly here, but now we're back up in contango, or back safely in the contango area again. And I think, like I said, in my mind, it's more likely that we can build contango here than go lower. So it's we're waiting on stimulus information. It seems to me that there will not be, it's likely that we do not get more stimulus until, because of this Georgia election runoff stuff, is making both parties be very careful with their sort of image in the public and whatnot. So, and I don't think that there's a lot of, the president doesn't have a whole lot of motivation to be rushing a stimulus forward now that the election is over. So I think it's most likely that we don't get a stimulus before the end of the year. Now, of course, that could change, but I'm just saying the odds seem to be that way right now. So I pretty much chopped myself up again yesterday. I'm just not in sync the last couple of days. And I didn't want to. I ended up covering my short yesterday, so I just have no position on for now. And I'm comfortable with that for the time being. Let's take a look in the chat real quick here and say hi to everybody and see what's going on. What's going on, Spencer? Hey, what's up, Minky One? So that's kind of where we stand. A lot of chat in my Facebook group about, I'm in this options Facebook group where there's like a moderator chat, and it's very interesting always talking to the guys in there. But, there's a lot going on in the market with earning stuff going on and different stocks all over the place. So there's certainly opportunity out there to trade. The VIX and the market really didn't look very good yesterday, but we're back once again to a morning with futures up before the open. I mean, everything's fine again, it seems, is the current situation. So we'll see what today brings. Was that little VIX move over the last couple of days, was that just kind of a mini spike that's kind of over with now, or does that continue? Obviously, a lot of newspaper articles and articles in general concerning the coronavirus numbers, which are really exploding all over the U.S. And I was watching this guitarologist. I don't know if you guys follow the guitarologist. He's a guitar YouTuber, but he's coming online and ranting and raving against how the virus is not as dangerous as everyone says. Blah 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 blah. I think it's good news that less people have died from this, but it still seems to not really be under control in the U.S. right now. And that's great that we have a vaccine and good stuff's on the horizon. But in the meantime, everybody be careful out there. It would be awful to be one of the last casualties before they finally get the vaccine. So I know my state is really exploding. We had like, for months we had like 200 new cases a day. Now we're up to like 2,000 or something. I go on this website. It's called World something coronavirus, and it's scary looking at all the cases. And I know like I said, it's much less likely that you're going to die if you go to the hospital with a case now than it was at the beginning. However, just the numbers, 161,000 new cases yesterday, it said. And in our state, which is Massachusetts, let's see. So we've got total cases, new cases, total deaths, blah, 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 blah. Massachusetts, 2,600 cases. Like, that's the most since the very beginning of the pandemic, I think. I mean, that's a ton of new cases. And look at some of these states. Illinois, 12,700 new cases. So I wonder if that's like the city of Chicago is just getting a ton of new cases. But, these numbers, even if the death percentage is way lower, it's still going to start piling up. And it's pretty scary out there. So everybody be careful, protect yourself. I know it's a drag protecting yourself and wearing the things and worrying about this, and I know everybody wishes it were over. I really don't think that these like, kind of fear-mongered stories that, Biden's going to come in and shut the country down is realistic. I don't think we will see lockdowns like we had before, just because we know now that relatively healthy people are not really going to die from this. But I still think we need to protect ourselves, just because you don't want to be one of the people that gets it and then you have these long-term issues. I mean, it's just scary. So anyways, I don't mean to talk doom and gloom. Let's move on. So my strategy is going to be to look to put on another short in here on a pop. So for the time being, I'm just on the sidelines, I suppose, unless we get some sort of pop here. We did see VXX option implied volatility go up quite a bit over the last few sessions. For example, now if you look at a couple weeks out, it shows on Thinkorswim, it shows like average implied volatility a couple weeks out of like 110. That was down to like low 90s and even 80s just a few days ago. But all this stuff popped a little bit over the last couple of days when we had this kind of up move in VXX. If we look at the chart for VXX here, we had this. It was up over $2 at one point yesterday, but we've the low of 1822. We've kind of gone sideways to up the last couple sessions. So we'll see if that kind of continues. The rally that we were in overnight is fading a little bit as we speak here, coming towards the open. If we look overnight here, we can see big rally into the close, continues till and peaks at about 5. Wait, what am I saying? I'm not talking right. I'm sorry. 3 in the morning is when we got this rally. Peaks at around 5, and now we're starting to give back a little bit. We'll see if this crumbles into the open or if we continue to rally from here. Kind of feels like it's going to fade back to unchanged, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. Currently, we've got the VIX down 92 cents and the front month future down a point. But everything pretty flat in VIX chart land. There's not a real bias either way as far as I'm concerned here. Yes, you can trade back and forth, but there's not a really standout position to have on here. When we're kind of in this kind of mid-range type thing, I like to be kind of small. You want to start to gear your position up when there's actually something that seems like something to do. Right here, it seems like we're just kind of in this mid-range. We've had a big down move in the VIX. already. And, you know, we've come back up slightly, but we're in a mid-range. And when you're in a mid-range, you don't really want to have an extreme position on either way, in my opinion. So that's kind of where we are right now. Like I said, I would like to do something maybe on Sunday where we can talk about your positions if you want to, and I can kind of help people, or we can talk through some stuff together if you want about what's going on with your own stuff. That I thought that might be kind of interesting. And beyond that, we'll just we'll see what happens coming into the weekend here in the market. Things seem to be just pretty calm and right now. So we'll see if that continues. I guess let's take a look at Disney. I think that Disney had earnings. You can see up. What's it up like 7-8 points off of earnings here as we await the open coming up in about 19 minutes here. That's kind of where we are. Thanks for everybody's support, and I'll see you next time. Good luck trading today, folks.
You're watching Famous Dave on YouTube.